your song. Ancient mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient mother, I taste your tears.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. That was very nice, Erin. My name is DJ Johnson. I serve on the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg, which is us. I'm delighted to welcome you here this morning. I hear Lori's laughing. Whether you're here in person or virtually, hi guys out there, we are a welcoming congregation where everyone is welcome just as we are. If you are visiting with us this morning, we would love to meet you, have a little conversation, have a long conversation. We just love to talk. You will find visitor cards, or you should find visitor cards, in the pocket of the chair in front of you. So please feel welcome to fill one of those out, place it in the offering plate as it comes by so we can connect with you later. In the bulletin, and everyone should have got one, we have plenty if you did not get one, there's a section called Connect, which has lots of things that's happening here in the church and in the community. I will read a few of those, except for the first one. I was told to skip that one. It's coming later. So we're going to start. I was going to start with Sunday. We're going to jump a little bit. Next week is very busy. It's the last week of October. It's very busy. But we're going to jump ahead. On Tuesday, the 29th at 7 o'clock, there will be a free concert entitled Music, Magic, and Mystery at Converse University in Twitch Auditorium. You can see me about further details on that. Yay! Yeah. Then on Wednesday, we're back here at church for the celebration of Samhain. If you saw the word and thought, how is that pronounced? Because S-A-M. Well, it's a Celtic pagan thing. I had to look it up, but it's Samhain. It will be on the back lawn of the church, depending upon the weather. If it should rain, it would be in here. The Samhain is the witches' new year, and it's our day of honoring those who have passed before us with a mostly traditional ceremony and learning a little about the pagan traditions. This will be a Wiccan ceremony, but you do not have to be a Wiccan to attend. Feel free to dress up, bring treats if you would like to share. Be prepared to participate. That might entail kind of dancing around something. I'm not sure. I've been to several spring things, and we kind of danced around, and we had a good time. So put that on your calendar. Of course, Thursday's Halloween. You're on your own. You can give out candy. You can turn off the lights and pretend you're not at home. It's up to you. Then on Saturday, moving into November, the month is just gone. Saturday, November 2nd, at Barnett Park, Upstate Pride March and Festival will be held. An interfaith service led by Dave Lynn Athena, Faith Taylor, Noah Tobin, and our own Ann Gardner will start the day at 11, followed by the march, which is usually around 12, and the day, it says stay long, but it ends at 4. Now, our congregation, which is known for peace, love, and justice, will have a booth there. And anytime we have a booth, you know what that means. We need your help. So you can sign up by a link on Happenings, bake cookies, buy cookies, help with the setup, staff the booth throughout the day, talk to people, which I know you guys are good little talkers, clean up the booth afterwards. Stacy Jackson is the genius behind our booth design, and I hear it's going to be fun. So put that on your calendars. And now, I'm going to revert back to my first things. We're going to invite our Director of Religious Education, Virginia McLean, to share more about the Boo and the UU next weekend. You realize you messed up my whole thing here.
I am so sorry I messed up your whole thing.
I had this all planned. They were going to call your name out like Beetlejuice 3 times.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
We can still do it 3 times with her name. Virginia McLean, Virginia McLean, Virginia McLean. Ta-da! Okay, you're on, girlfriend.
Hello, everyone. just want to remind everybody about Boo at the UU next Sunday. This is not just for kids. This is for everyone. We want to have a big, fun fall day here at our church. So we are going to start with an intergenerational service. Here we have an excellent, fruity, fun speaker that day. And then we will follow our service with a chili lunch. So bring a pot of chili to share. We'll be down in Wild Hall to eat. And after lunch, we are going to have a trunk or treat. Now, if you've never participated in a trunk or treat, people can get quite competitive, and people can be like, I don't want to have anything to do with this, but I do want to see some fun costumes. So feel free to decorate your trunk as much as you'd like or as little as you would like. Bring a bag of candy and pass out to the kids. Wear a costume. It's going to be a fun, fun day, and we want everybody to participate. All of the UUCS family, not just families with kids. So be prepared for excitement and fun, spooky costumes, and please wear a costume. Don't make me feel silly. All right, so we will see you next Sunday for Boo at the UU.
How exactly do you follow that? It's bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Good morning, my name is Paula Swaney, and I'll be serving as your worship associate this morning. We'll start with our chalice lighting. 3 times 9 girls, but one girl rode ahead, white-skinned under her helmet. The horses were trembling. From their manes, dew fell into the deep valleys. Hail in the high woods. Good fortune comes from there.
Please join me in hymn number 132 in your gray hymnal.
Everything I do or say or think sends ripples out into the world. Everything you think, say, or do sends out ripples too. And because we choose to gather together in community, our ripples have a tendency to ripple into each other. Our rippling bowl represents how we share these moments as a community. If you wish to make a promise or let go of one, remember someone you've lost or honor the reassuring presence of a loved one. Release a bit of pain offer a blessing for a stranger, or otherwise mark some important event or occasion, please come forward and send your thoughts outward as you drop a stone or shell into the water, mingling the ripples of your intention with the ripples of others in our community. And as we do so, remember that joys once shared ripple out and are multiplied, and sorrows shared ripple out and are diminished. I'll place a stone or shell for those who are joining us virtually.
No banana soup for me. I'm Deb Williams, and I am the chair of membership, and I work on buildings and grounds. I would like to ask anyone that's joining us as a member to come on up here with me, please, this morning. Come on. Yeah.
Okay. All the way up, okay.
This is Laura Williams,
Hi.
and she says she's just happy to be here.
Yep.
Y'all may know this one, Sophia Cat, and she's just proud to be here. Thank you. No? Y'all really ought to get this one to talk. It's hard. Yes. This young lady is Natalie Swindler, and she's happy to be here. Also, while they're finishing signing the book, I would like to also let you guys know that John Hiding, Seffi Gilliam, and Elizabeth Zack will be joining as members, but they weren't going to be able to participate today. So that's more new members for us. Now, in your bulletin, if you would look, we're going to read the congregation's going to read, and the new members are going to respond. We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg, joyfully welcome you as once we were welcomed ourselves. We pledge to support you on your journey, as we hope you will support us in our own. We welcome you as an equal member of this church and of this Unitarian Universalist tradition.
We thank you, and one day we will welcome others too.
We offer you the warmth and comfort of this church community. We are grateful for your strengths and talents. We will strive to demonstrate oneness of humanity by sharing our joys and sorrows, ever seeking to grow in kindness and compassion as we work together.
We thank you. We go this way together.
Now I'd like to ask everyone to join in reading our covenant. We do this every Sunday morning. Let's read our covenant. With courage we say, we are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean decisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. Here comes our favorite time this Sunday morning, that's greeting one another. I'll ask everybody to please be mindful before you hug, ask. If someone's just sitting there, you might want to go on by them. And for goodness sakes, don't scare our new members.
Years and years ago, we used to signal the end of that with a wind chime. I'm sure there's people who remember that and how ineffective it was compared to Erin and the piano. All right. We each contribute to this community with a multitude of gifts. We give gifts of time, talent, energy, perspective, knowledge, opinions, and love. And the generosity of this congregation is incredible. Now we will contribute as we can with our financial gifts. This month, we share half of unmarked funds and all marked funds from the offering plate with the United Way of the Piedmont United for All Fund. The offering will now be freely given and gratefully received. And even if you're not putting any paper in the plate today, as it comes by you, please know as you pass it that your presence here today is gift enough.
There is a young cowboy lives on the range. His horse and his cattle are his only companions. He works in the saddle and he sleeps in the canyons, waiting for summer, his pastures to change. And as the moon rises, he sits by his fire, thinking about women and glasses of beer, and closing his eyes as the doggies retire. He sings out a song which is soft but it's clear, as if maybe someone could hear. Good night, you moonlight ladies, rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Now the 1st of December was covered with snow, and so was the turnpike from Stockbridge to Boston. The Berkshire seemed dreamlike on account of that frosting. With 10 miles behind me and 10,000 more to go. There's a song that they sing when they take to the highway, a song that they sing when they take to the sea, a song that they sing of their home in the sky. Maybe you can believe it if it helps you to sleep, but singing works just fine for me. So good night, all you moonlight ladies, rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, my sweet baby James.
Tomorrow is Erin Galloway's birthday. Let's stand as a choir and sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Erin. Happy birthday to you. And not only Erin's birthday, this is Antober, because our own Ann Garner has her birthday in October. It's also Davtober because our beloved associate Davlin Hill has her birthday in October, and at this rate, I would expect half of you have October birthdays, so happy birthday to everybody. After the service today, there are 3 things happening. One is a book study that our consciousness team is leading. We want to invite you to. They have been meeting for several weeks, reading a book called Unequal in America, about equity and disparities in equity in the United States. It is a very timely book, and whether you know of this book, have read this book, have come before or not, you are invited to join them at 1 o'clock. Also, after the service, we have our 3rd Sunday UU Youth Social. Our youth will go to lunch together, and then we'll travel up to Strawberry Hill to walk the corn maze and be outside in this gorgeous fall weather that we have enjoying. If you have teenagers, 6th grade to 12th grade, who would like to join us, it is not too late to sign a permission form and to come with us. We have quite a team going, and your UU youth is very invited, very welcome. And also after the service, we'll have a talkback session. This will be brief because I've got to go be with the youth. But the way the talkback session works, this is a tradition that comes especially out of the Unitarian side of Unitarian Universalism. It's a chance to just ask questions, for us to dialogue about today's service and also about all the services this month and really about anything. There are many reasons for doing this. One is it's just a rich practice of dialogue that's generative for decision making and all of our thinking together as a congregation. It also importantly undermines the authority of the minister, which is intentional. That you can see what we do here is called a meditation rather than a sermon, because I'm offering you reflections that you are welcome to think are just ridiculous or to find partial value in, but to challenge also. We think together and we build a life together, and we each have a role in that. But these talkback sessions allow us to make that very cooperative and collegial. And it really is, anything goes. So please feel welcome to stay afterwards for us to talk with each other. The book study is at 12:30. And there's coffee hour. So get some coffee, grab a book, come ask questions, go back unless you're between the grades of 6 and 12, and then come eat with us.
Did anybody drop a tube of Burt's Bees?
That is a UU communion if I've ever seen one, sharing chapstick with each other. Winter is already upon us. Consider the month that we've lived. How good it is to laugh together. Join me in silence. This month we have been working with the theme, What Horses Teach Us. This is a theme that Kara Dowling invited us to work with this month. Kara purchased a sermon in our annual UCS auction. Because of the hurricane and its aftermath, our auction is postponed until March this year. Plenty of time for me to finish the sermons people have asked me to do, and some other things too that I've got to finish, and then for us to be ready to celebrate. It is a party for sure, and a lot of fun, and a wonderful way to generate resources for this congregation. But part of that is that people can bid on auctions and bid on sermons, and Kara bid on a sermon, and she won. And Kara is a wonderful equestrian. She cares for horses and rides horses. This is something that she's done for more than a decade, and it has been transformative in her life and really building for her character and her well-being and her family life, a way that she engages in the community. And it's been fascinating as we've talked about this, how many of you have had similar experiences with horses over the course of your life. Many people in this congregation who grew up on farms, who learned to ride in their childhood, or who learned to ride when they entered into adulthood because it's something that they wanted to do, or for whom the image of horses and culture and literature and religion and myth are deep in your psyche, a deep part of how you think about the world and how you relate. So I want to thank Kara for asking us to talk about this. There's no way to talk about horses without praising their sheer beauty. Think about the wonder of seeing a horse run across the skyline. To see that body, those muscles, the evolution of that frame, the way those legs are spring-loaded to propel forward, the unbelievable development of this being. Just an experience of the glory of our cosmos in one existence. Bring to mind this image, whether it's from cinema or from your own lived experience, or just in your imagination. Picture the beauty of that creature moving over the world. Our songs and our stories look to the beauty of that animal as a symbol of freedom. Songs of longing to be free like that, to move like that, to break from the bonds of our lives and to fly. Friedrich Nietzsche was not wrong to long for freedom. And in his struggle to be free in his life, he gave successive generations rich gifts. Nietzsche was born into a strict Protestant family in the 19th century in Germany. His father, who he loved and who was a pastor, died tragically when Nietzsche was very young. And Nietzsche's whole life became, in a sense, a revolt against the injustice of that death and the absurdity of a life devoted to serving a God who would wipe out that life in an instant. And Nietzsche wrestled his whole life with thinking about what the nature of reality is and what it meant to make a life in a world of unpredictability and tragedy and absurdity, and most of all of restrictive social constraints, restrictive thoughts and mores and behaviors. He fought and he fought and he fought in his language to overcome, to become more than who he had been born as, to try to find in himself the fullness of his humanity, and it wore him out. It took his toll as he pushed against his entire culture. But that struggle for freedom that Nietzsche pursued so relentlessly at such cost to himself broke open bonds for all of us. And of many different views, many worldviews, many faith commitments, all of us nonetheless are inheritors of that energy towards freedom that he exerted. When we talk about choosing our own way, standing up for ourselves as individuals against the pressures of society, creating our lives, when we use this kind of thinking and this kind of language, we are the inheritors of Nietzsche's hard-fought liberation. In that fight, he thought he had to make an exchange. He looked at the world around him, at the level of energy and exertion required to break free as a man himself, as an individual. And he looked at the stories of his surrounding culture, and he decided that compassion, fellow feeling, these were things that held us back. They made us weak. They caused us to constantly compromise and give our energy over to other people in a conspiracy of culture that diminished human being and held us down. And so in his longing to be free, Nietzsche shoved aside the value of compassion, the concern for other people, not to choose cruelty, that's not what he chose, but to choose a brazen, singular path of solitude, a path of desperation and heartbreak. This separation of freedom from responsibility took Nietzsche to a breaking point. And when he was still fairly young, about my age and the age of many of us in this room, Nietzsche churning out these works of philosophy, writing with such dexterity and fluency that he would be known as one of the most readable and engaging philosophers of many generations, writing and creating, trying to break free. Turn one day in a street in Turin in Italy, see a horse being beaten by its master. And Nietzsche broke. He threw his arms around the neck of the animal to try to shield it from these blows. An overwhelming act of compassion in the face of unnecessary suffering in this world. A man who had spent his whole life in revolt against injustice and cruelty that he had experienced at the loss of his father. He poured that agony out to protect this beast. And his mind snapped. He went into mental collapse, which he did not recover for the rest of his life. And yet in that moment, these ideals of freedom and responsibility fused. And the power of Nietzsche's personality found a generative wholeness once again. So that accompanying all of his writing and thought, this story, a story which some wonder is even true, this story accompanies his work as a sign that those of us that seek freedom can choose also care, compassion, responsibility as we try to make our way through this world. Horses are this image of freedom for us, and also of work and duty and responsibility. This really is the dual nature of horses and human thought. On the one hand, this animal of sheer magnificence, fleeing across the landscape, and the longing that we sing of, if we could only be like that, if we could only be that free. And an animal who has labored with us and served us, carried us and pulled us, helped us develop agriculture and transportation, a reason to build road systems spanning continents, an animal on whom we have relied so much that now we, most of whom would be completely inept at caring for any kind of living creature, especially a horse, nonetheless know that we still have to take our cars to the shop to get the oil changed to keep the horsepower going. This is how deep this animal is in our history and our culture. A symbol of both freedom and responsibility, fused into one. And though in human life we may separate these things and feel them as an antagonism, if only I could shut aside my responsibilities and just be free. Or I can't choose my freedom, I must choose responsibility. In the beauty of this creature, we see both things fully formed. An animal of paradox, reflecting back to us our own lives, that we can choose the fullness of our being too. I hope that when Nietzsche broke, when he went into 11 years of collapse and decline, I hope that at that moment, the Valkyrie came for his spirit. A man who loved Germanic stories and Norse mythology, a man who had been devoted to the opera of Richard Wagner until he couldn't stand Wagner anymore. I hope that in that moment of collapse, he was taken up into the arms of these women on horseback, bringing him into glory. The Valkyrie are women out of Norse mythology who come riding onto battlefields. Their name means those who pick the slain. Their job was to come to places of devastation and chaos, places of bloodshed and loss, places of historical injustice, and to gather those who had fallen into a place of peace, of beauty, of resolution, their home in the sky. It's remarkable how pervasive their presence is, even in our own culture today. Good night, you moonlight ladies. I have a small bias, but I want to urge you, if you're free at 3 o'clock today, to go to the last showing at Ballet Spartanburg of Swan Princess, a story that comes to us out of Russian storytelling, where the swans transform into humans and back again, a trace of the story of the Valkyrie, trying to bring people to a place of peace and beauty, of justice and the tragedy of life. Here in our own town, memories of Valkyrie being danced on the stage today. Just because my daughter is one of them doesn't mean that I'm overly partial. Absolutely beautiful. And stories of the Valkyrie sent on behalf of the gods who rule the cosmos, but arriving at these battlefields and deciding the course the gods have set is in error, and they should change fate, try to make things work differently. Some of them are cast out of their role as Valkyrie for going against the gods, but a revolt against injustice on behalf of human being. And in these women, we see this fusion of freedom and responsibility made whole. These women are wild. They are terrifying. Battle-hardened maidens, ravens flying over death and destruction, fearless. Do you feel that inside of you? The power of that? They come to help, to gather up those who are stricken and broken, wounded, dying and dead, and possibly to bring them wholeness once again. And we have these people all around us. Whatever the Valkyrie are in our stories and our myths, one of the things that they are is a dream of who we can be ourselves. People who claim the fullness of our human freedom, who break out of all that would constrain us, to choose that which is terrifying and powerful, brave and courageous and reckless in us, and to use that not for self-gratification or self-destruction, but instead for service, to be of help, to be people of responsibility. This month we have raised funds for the United Way. And if you go on your phone right now and look at the staff of the United Way of the Piedmont, what you will see are Valkyrie, women who are wild, who have chosen the most ridiculous career. They give thousands and thousands and sometimes millions of dollars away to help other people instead of keeping it for themselves. I don't know if you know where we live, but this is the United States of America. This is capitalism 101. That these women choose to be reckless with their lives, to work what are probably ultimately illegal numbers of hours, to burn themselves and their families out again and again and again, to call us to something better as a culture. They fly into corporate headquarters to ask for money, to serve people that often our corporations have left aside. What fools! What courage! What bravery! And in the aftermath of this hurricane, they have flown high and hard. They have hurt themselves to serve all of us, to pull us into something better, to connect us, to care for each other. This is the work of the Valkyrie, people who claim such freedom that they contradict the demands of our culture, to bring us help where we need it most. Only next month it'll happen again. True Valkyries, literal Valkyries from Converse University will fly here to solicit our support for their food pantry. Now, a food pantry seems simple, but this pantry serves students who do not have enough to eat. We live in a world where higher education is more and more a requirement for a modicum of economic success. And students and their families do all they can to secure scholarships, jobs, loans, to finance an ever-increasing cost of education, something more and more out of reach. And some of these people fight so hard just to go to school so they can get a decent job, semi-decent job. They run short in the month and don't have enough to eat. And so a person, Valkyrie in spirit, if not by Presbyterian ordination, chaplain at Converse University, helped organize faculty to create a food bank for these students so that everyone can have what they need to feed their brains and their bodies to do that work in the world. Shouldn't be hard to do. But have you ever tried to change an institution? I'll leave it to them to tell that story. But imagine if you flew recklessly to your place of employment and insisted on change the risk to your own income. These are Valkyrie. People who use their freedom for responsibility, so that not only they find their own life, but we all also find ours. Let's join that ride.
Please join me in hymn number 131 in your gray hymnal. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
These two Old English charms invoke the Valkyrie, imploring them to use their strength to help and not to harm. A charm against a sudden stabbing pain. They were loud, yes, loud, when they rode over the mound. They were fierce when they rode across the land. Shield yourself now, you can survive this strife, where those mighty women marshaled their powers. And a charm for a swarm of bees. Settle down, victory women. Never be wild and fly to the woods. Be mindful of my welfare.
Isn't that great to call bees victory women? Isn't that amazing? The Valkyrie are with us. They call you to ride.